Hi everyone, welcome to another Blu-ray update video. Yes, the 11th in this series. Videos that I've been doing for some time now on this channel. It's kind of a regular thing that I always kind of do, whether that be 2 months, every 2 months, which it used to be, or very recently it was kind of 4 months combined into a single video. And of course, once again, for obvious reasons, yes, I didn't get too many Blu-rays, for example in March or April really, so of course once again it's 4 months combined into this single video to cover, and even then it's not a mass amount of kind of pickups, if you will, but yes, hopefully I can kind of start collecting more regularly and more kind of in terms of the actual amount of Blu-rays. Hopefully that can change going forward, but of course yes, once again it's kind of this kind of it's 4 months combined to, of course, March through June this year, so March, April, May and June. And yes, we'll start off, of course, and 2 Criterions actually in this kind of this period. So yes, very exciting stuff. If you're interested in that, they're definitely. It's always a big event, of course. So yes, it's something that I was very happy to kind of. I've picked them up very recently, and yes, I'll get to them maybe at the end of this video. But yes, for now, first up, it's a film that I reviewed a while back now, a few weeks ago at least, and it's from a very, very famous director, but in terms of his filmography, it's one that maybe gets overlooked at times. Certainly after watching it, I really think, well, it's not one of his absolute best. I really, really love this film, and that is The Aviator. Of course, Martin Scorsese. He, of course, one of my favourite directors, one of my favourite filmmakers, but this film, once again, yes, I only got around to this for the first time, in April, so wow, what was I doing there? It's just a case of, I've been meaning to pick this up, and never got around to it until this year, so there we have it. Of course, wonderful, wonderful film. Check out my review if you want kind of in-depth thoughts, on this film. But wow, of course, and Howard Hughes. It's a kind of biographical film, on Howard Hughes, Leonardo DiCaprio playing Howard Hughes, and wow, this film really blew me away. And as I say, it's not one of my maybe top 5 Scorsese works, but that's because it's Martin Scorsese, and he's made Goodfellas, etc. So yeah, it's very hard to kind of get that status. But this film, I think, is one of his masterpieces. For the record, it's certainly a wonderful film, and kind of similar at times to his other works, or his other kind of big works, like kind of Goodfellas, or maybe even The Wolf of Wall Street, but of course very, very different as well. And it's a very surprising film, this wonderful, wonderful film that I'm very, very pleased to have in my collection. Of course, all of the Scorsese films, the narrative features, I will eventually kind of have in my collection. So yes, wonderful film, The Aviator. Next up is True Grit by the Coens. Their version, of course, this is kind of course, a remake, of the 60s version. I'd never actually seen that version, all the way through, of course, with John Wayne. But I'm massively looking forward to that as well. But of course, this version here, this is just a stunning work. I think based on the first kind of 50 minutes, I've kind of said this, of course, in my review, but based on that kind of first 45-50 minutes, maybe, I think this could have been my absolute favourite, Coen's film, if not definitely my second favourite from them. Overall, I think it does kind of go off, strange. Direction, never quite regains the standard, I feel personally kind of set by that first 50 minutes of the film. Wow, that was just monumental, mythic, just flat out masterful work, of course. But overall, I think the ending really, really disappointed me, and it did have a wonderful final act. It really picked up overall then, but the ending just really did not do it for me personally. And of course, the middle of the film as well. Just a few things I never really was kind of as engaged by, or compelled by the film as it had been, in that first 50 minutes. But having said that, overall, great film. Very few flaws, other than the fact that it just didn't compare to that kind of opening, lengthy, I guess, opening act. But yes, wonderful film overall, and yes, of course, True Grit by the Coens. Next up, speaking of great films, of course, once again, very famous work here. A film that's one of the most acclaimed of all time. A very popular actor, starring in the lead role, and that is On the Waterfront. Once again, I reviewed this film very recently, and yes, stunning work. For me, it's a masterpiece, and of course, anyone who's interested in just seeing great films, this film here, wow, just a masterpiece. Really is. Not much more to say there. Again, if you want my kind of in-depth thoughts on this film, certainly check out my review if you're interested. But yes, I think it may not be my favourite kind of Brando film by any means, but I think a stunning piece of work. Really wonderful film, and just so powerful, just so human, and just so engaging really throughout its entire narrative. So yes, check this out, of course, if you haven't seen it. Of course, I think a lot of people have seen this film. A lot of film buffs, of course. Kind of check this one out. At some point. So yes, tell me your thoughts on this one for sure. And yes, next up, another Western. Now this is one. It's not a blind buy, but I guess I've not really. I don't really know anything about this film other than I've heard it's kind of underrated kind of thing, or maybe yes, just a film that kind of went under the radar, was kind of passed by perhaps, and yes, a one that kind of has gained more of a following as we go on, and yes, that is The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, and yes, here it is, of course. This film, wow, I've always been drawn to this for some reason. Really drawn to it more than most kind of modern westerns, even excluding the kind of buzz about this film, maybe the cult following that it has, because there's just something about this. Maybe the cover, and just maybe some of the images that I've seen, glanced through perhaps, of this film, and of course the cast of this, Casey Affleck, of course, and Brad Pitt, who's one of my favourite actors personally, certainly one of my favourite modern actors. So yes, I cannot wait for this film. It's quite an epic film as well. Its length, so not a long film really, but it's one that's a decent length at least. So I'm always looking forward to checking out these kinds of films, and of course westerns. I love westerns so much. So yes, this film here, I can't wait to see. Hopefully watching this very soon actually, and unfortunately I didn't really review a film, a western, of course, in June. It didn't really happen. I barely reviewed anything in June, unfortunately. But yes, hopefully I can see this this month, being July now. I can see this and talk about this film. It'd be very interesting to kind of to watch, of course, and I expect. I expect potentially some great things from this. Just really, what an intriguing film this. Wow, cannot wait for this. Honestly, I can see myself possibly really loving this film. And yes, kind of in the same vein, on the same day. This wasn't kind of planned out, but funnily, it does have. It's another film that kind of stars Brad Pitt, and yes. It's kind of, I didn't intend to kind of buy two Brad Pitt films and kind of go on this spree of Brad Pitt films, but yes, the film is 12 Monkeys, of course Terry Gilliam's 12 Monkeys, so that's one of the reasons why I bought this film. I wanted to kind of check this out again. I'd seen this a number of years ago now. I saw this when I was a lot younger, possibly maybe 10 years ago now actually. I saw this film for the first time, and I absolutely loved watching this film. I have great memories of this, just being wowed by this film, and really was desperate to check it out. Of course I want to kind of review, over time, of course, all of this kind of Monty Python members, all their works, including of course Terry Gilliam, maybe the most prominent in terms of of course directing. So yes, this film here, I did actually watch this again. I rewatched this film already, and yes, I must say, wow, yes, I intend to review this film very, very soon, hopefully. It's been very hard to kind of get my full thoughts on this because it's very, very ambiguous. It's very, yeah, very ambiguous, very strange, and there's things I'm not too sure about in terms of the actual meaning, perhaps. This film, is it this, is it that? But of course, I absolutely love this film. I can't wait to talk about this and get your thoughts on this as well. Just wow, 12 Monkeys. What an exceptional work of cinema here, and yes, truly a Terry Gilliam work. But having said that, this is really, in some regards, a bit different as well. Actually, in terms of maybe the actual the insanity, of a lot of his films, the kind of out of control nature, perhaps. I think in some regards it's very, very different. It's kind of a combination of different elements as well. Of his past works. So very, very interesting film here to talk about, and I can't wait to discuss it. But for the record, I absolutely love this film. Wow, blew me away. Even more than when I first watched it. So yes, speaking of Terry Gilliam and Monty Python, yes. Monty Python and the Holy Grail steelbook. Wow, look at this, just wonderful, wonderful steelbook here. Just stunning, it really is. And there's the inside as well. Of course, I do plan, kind of talking about Monty Python very, very soon. In fact, very soon I want to kind of get up a review of The Meaning of Life, and then of course go back to these other films, of course Holy Grail and Life of Brian. So yes, this will be my next one to watch. Once again, I've seen it twice already, but I really want to kind of rewatch this film again, and then of course instantly after that kind of talk about this. So yes, this film, let me say, wow, the amount of times that I've seen great comedies, of course throughout my life, I've seen so many great films, comedies, but this one here, I think just really is one of the most special, kind of genius works, in terms of comedy, and just wow, this film, I can't wait to watch this film again, and I cannot wait to discuss it, of course, with you viewers. Of course, I did talk about these films a little bit last year, but of course I want to kind of re-review these films and really get some in-depth kind of discussions. But yes, is this the finest Monty Python film? Well, we'll have to find out, when I talk about these films, in my review. So yes, always great to kind of, see, what everyone's favourite kind of Python work is. But yes, we'll talk about this one first, after, of course, The Meaning of Life, and then, of course, we'll discuss Life of Brian, and we'll go from there. Definitely going to be, kind of discussing the show as well, Flying Circus. So I look forward to that, of course. So yes, Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And finally, we're here to discuss the 2 Criterion films that I picked up as well. So yes, we'll start off with Spy Number 339. I guess some of you already know what this film is if you're kind of well versed in all the kind of spy numbers. But yes, it is Edward Yang's EE. Yes, indeed. This film really, wow, this has appealed to me for some time. I've really wanted to kind of check this out, of course. Brighter Summer Day as well. I've got that just next to me there as well, and a massive stack of films to watch. So yes, I could see this one first. Who knows? I've never seen an Edward Yang film, so who knows? I think I probably have been looking forward to A Brighter Summer Day more. But having said that, I could watch this one first. Who knows? It's kind of, that's undecided yet at the moment. So I think I planned on watching A Brighter Summer Day in August time. So yes, perhaps I could watch this one first. Who knows? Again, it will just be a case of what I feel is kind of what kind of appeals to me in the moment, maybe. And yes, I think this film here, I've got massive expectations. Just really sounds quite wonderful. I think it really appeals to me. Both of these films massively appeal to me, of course. Very acclaimed as well. Massively popular. Certainly more and more, now as well. And yes, I really look forward to this film, EE. So yes, wow, I cannot wait, and hopefully be checking that out, in the next kind of couple of months, as I say. So yes, I'm very, very happy to have a Criterion here, in itself. Just look at the Criterions. Wow, a rare treat, really. You don't get this with other kind of releases. The Criterion collection. Buying certainly a Criterion Blu-ray. I feel just is a luxury. Look at this, just wonderful, wonderful stuff. Very, very overwhelmed actually to cover this is my collection. And finally, the last film to mention here, and of course the other Criterion, the two that I mentioned, of course acquiring very recently, is Spine Number 917, The Awful Truth. Yes, well, I've really been looking forward to seeing this. Of course, Cary Grant, one of my kind of at least kind of top 15 actors of all time, possibly top 10. It's very, very hard to kind of order my kind of favorite actors, but Cary Grant is certainly up there. He really just every single film that I've seen, of him, even just the kind of more the less popular ones, or maybe the less talked about works, perhaps Indiscreet. He starred in, of course, with Ingrid Bergman again, and even that I really liked, and just always great to see kind of a Cary Grant film, even just based on his performance. Just such a charming, likable, just legendary actor. I feel so smooth, and of course his Hitchcock films as well, especially North by Northwest, films like Notorious as well. I've not seen Suspicion yet, but that's the only kind of Hitchcock Grant pairing that I've not seen. But of course the other ones, the other three I've loved, and yes, just eventually I do plan on kind of seeing all of his films, and yes, a film here that I've not heard too much about, kind of in the grand scheme of things, but yes, I really look forward to this. Of course, kind of a romantic comedy kind of film here from the 30s. So yes, something that really appeals to me. Even just based on that, alone, and of course Cary Grant, kind of one of his early performances. So yes, really can't wait to see this. And of course, yes, once again, really great kind of cover here. Kind of designed by Criterion. So yes, just really stunning here. Again, still sealed. So yes, really can't wait to see this film. It'll probably be very soon actually. Very easy to just kind of put on and kind of watch. Very easily kind of a lovable film, perhaps. These kinds of films. I just love seeing Cary Grant. He's great. In the kind of comedy roles, romantic roles as well. So yes, The Awful Truth. Really proud to have this in my collection. Again, another Criterion. So yes, an event in itself. Of course, and two Criterions is, even two Criterions to pick up. It's kind of this, overwhelming kind of feeling, and just wonderful to look at. And of course, always really interesting films. At least, I guess I'm not going to love every single Criterion, but that's not the case for anyone really. But I think it's just always an interesting film, one that's kind of always one that I would want to check out. It seems like based on what I've kind of seen in the collection, and of course yes, the Awful Truth. Really can't wait to see this one. So yes, that is it for now. Of course, I'll be back. I think I can guarantee being back. For in September to discuss August, July films I picked up. Of course, I won't be doing this as kind of I don't think anyway, this 4-month combined kind of video here like I did previously as well. I think it definitely looks like I'll be I'll be okay actually to kind of kind of pick up more within 2 months. So yes, I look forward to that. But yes, it's always great to kind of discuss as always with you viewers, and hear your thoughts, of course. So yes, I do have some things planned as well very soon. Meaning of Life review, of course, and yes, my film log update video. Look out for that, and yes, of course, just continuing with my James Bond reviews. Of course, GoldenEye is up next, and I can't wait for that. And yes, of course, a number of different films to talk about as well. So yes, as always, take care, and yes, thanks for watching.